Hate-mongering fundamentalist Mohammedan Muslims assert in their Friday sermons, their newsprint, their school books, and their TV that the Jews, and in many times the Christians also, are descended from apes and pigs. Where does this obscene polemics come from? Sadly, and as invariably with the followers of Muhammad, they get it from the Quran itself in 3 different verses. Al-A'raf 7.163. Ask them concerning the town standing close by the sea. Behold, they transgressed in the matter of the Sabbath. When they disregarded the warning that had been given them, we rescued those who forbade evil, but we visited the wrongdoers with a grievous punishment because they were given to transgression. But when even after this they disdainfully persisted in that from which they were forbidden, we said to them, become apes, despised and disgraced. قُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاكِعِينَ. Al-Baqarah 2.65. And well ye knew, those amongst you who transgressed in the matter of Sabbath, we said to them, be ye apes despised and rejected. فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاكِعِينَ. The translator of the Quran, Abdullah Yusuf Ali, explains, the punishment for breach of the Sabbath under the Mosaic law was death. Exodus 31.14. Everyone that defiles the Sabbath shall surely be put to death. For whosoever does any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. He continues, there must have been a Jewish tradition about a whole fishing community in a seaside town, which persisted in breaking the Sabbath and were turned into apes. The translator is correct because, as usual with Muhammad and his Quran, this version was plagiarized and perverted from the story of an entire village of people who were turned into apes by Moses, not God, because they broke the Sabbath by fishing. This was a popular legend in Muhammad's day, and it came from Tosefta Yebamot 1.10 and parallel passages in Babli and Yerushalmi Talmuds. It is very obvious from both the wording and the situation that Allah transformed only those Jews who broke the Sabbath into apes. It was a one-off case. What is most galling of all is the fact that Muhammad in his Quran does not even consider the Sabbath holy, since he surmised that the Jews were stupid to think that Allah could get weary after the creation, and according to this, Allah did not prohibit the Jews from working on the Sabbath. So why the punishments, one would ask? Because, as invariably with Muhammad's Quran, it is full of inconsistencies, contradictions, mendacities, and illogic. The Muhammadan exegete, Ata al-Khurasani, said, the people of the township were told, O people of the township, be you apes, despised and rejected. When those who forbade fishing saw them, they asked, did we not warn you? They nodded in agreement. They were doomed to stay as apes for 3 days without food, drink, or reproduction till they died. I would like to point out that since they were turned instantly by the word of Allah into apes and pigs, how then could they have understood the question, let alone acknowledge it? I wonder if any Muhammadan has a logical explanation. Al-Ma'idah 5.60. Then say, should I inform you, people of the book, of those who will have even worse recompense from Allah than the transgressors? They are those whom Allah has cursed, who have been under His wrath, some of whom were turned into apes and swine, who worshipped Taghut, the devil, or idols. Those are the people who are in a far worse plight and who have turned furthest away from the right way. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ الْقِرَدَةَ وَالْخَنَازِيرَ. It is clear that the verse above is telling events that transpired on 2 different occasions. 1, the Saturday fishing, and 2, those who worshipped idols. In both cases, the guilty were transformed into apes and pigs. In his commentary on Surah 5.60, Ata al-Khurasani added on the authority of Sufyan al-Thawri that Ibn Mas'ud said, Allah's Messenger was asked if the current monkeys and swine were those whom Allah transformed. He said, Allah never destroyed a people by transforming them and making offspring or descendants from them. The monkeys and swine existed before that. This was also recorded by Muslim hadith. Hence, contrary to the deliberate misrepresentations and explanations made by the Muhammadans, Muhammad denied the possibility that the Jews are descended from apes and pigs. The language supporting a literal transformation by the same verbal command is found in Surah 2.117, which has the same historical context as 2.65. The literary context reveals that Allah is so powerful that all he has to do is the following. Al-Baqarah 2.117. He is the creator of the heavens and the earth. When he decrees a thing, he merely says, be, and it is done. Thus, when Allah decrees something, anything, it is done the moment he speaks, instantly. Likewise, by a simple decree, he transformed some Jews into apes and swine, using the same verbal command. Muhammad sees their case as historically special and very real in order to warn succeeding generations of his followers not to disobey Allah or him. Otherwise, they too may be turned into apes or pigs. In light of the preceding citations, it is little wonder that Dr. Jamal Badawi chooses to cite Muhammadans that deny the literal metamorphosis of the Jews as opposed to quoting those who do. To cite these followers of Muhammad causes serious embarrassment as well as major problems for presenting Muhammadan Islam as a rational, thinking man's belief system. Dr. Jamal Badawi seems to be aware that no open-minded and intelligent person would ever accept such old wives' tales. The fact that the Quran contains them only proves that it is not God's word. Sunan of Abu Dawood Hadith 4028, narrated by Abu Amir or Abu Malik, that he heard the Apostle of Allah say, there will be among my community of Muslims people who will make lawful the use of khaz and silk. Some of them will be transformed into apes and swine. It is very amusing as well as extremely revealing that not a single Muhammadan cleric or academician ever mentions this or the following verse. Sunan of Abu Dawood Hadith 4293, narrated by Anas ibn Malik. The Prophet said, the Arabs will establish cities, and one of them will be called Al-Basra or Al-Busayra. If you should pass by it or enter it, avoid its salt marshes, its market, and the gate of its commanders, and keep to its environments. For the earth will swallow some people up, pelting rain will fall, and earthquakes will take place in it. And there will be people who will spend that night in it and become apes and swine in the morning. Al-Tirmidhi Hadith 5150, narrated by Ammar ibn Yasir. Allah's Messenger said, the table was sent down from heaven with bread and meat, and they were commanded not to be unfaithful, nor to store up for the morrow. But they were unfaithful, stored up and laid by for the morrow. So they were changed into apes and swine. The table in the above is an allusion to Jesus' Last Supper, and this event is of course not mentioned in any gospel. As usual with Muhammad, he was an equal opportunity hate-monger that even his fellow Arabs did not escape the same fate that his followers assert was marked for the Jews and Christians. Hence, when the followers of Muhammad deliberately misquote and misrepresent the meaning of the verses against the Jews and Christians, our listeners can point to similar verses concerning themselves also.